Do Marauder Hunters prey on elites in Tides of Torment? This deeper dive concerns the infantry axe chuckers of the Norscan faction, like some evil Viking play on dwarf rangers with throwing axes. The secret to the unit is that its cost efficiency rises with the eliteness of the opposition, especially shield-bearing infantry. Being infantry itself, it's vulnerable to cavalry, and it's easily outranged, but it is not easily outpowered at skirmish distances. It is a mismatch unit, so let's go over how that matches up. Recruited for 550 gold and 138 upkeep, the base variant gets 90 entities and 6,030 health between them. Armor is 15, leadership a shaky-looking 50. Speed 35 and charge speed 43 is exactly as fast as normal Marauders. Melee attack begins at 36, with attack interval 4.2 just like normal Marauders, and wasn't that a really high melee attack? No splash damage. Melee defense only 20, that's a knock on a unit not carrying an axe large enough to cut down a tree spirit. Weapon strength 28 is split base 21 and armor piercing 7, same as regular, charge bonus 12, mass 100. This unit tosses axes. Ammunition is 12 default, range is 80. Missile damage, for comparison, is recorded as 35, but each and every axe carries the SHIELDBREAKER attribute, so each subsequent missile is blocked with a minus 24% penalty, as in a standard Empire Swordsman would block 11% of the axes from the front after the first axe hits and applies the contact effect. Each axe impact does base 6 and armor piercing 22 damage. Reload time is a brisk 8, total accuracy the standard 20, calibration distance 40, so it gets less accurate beyond half its maximum range, which isn't that far. Within that distance has a calibration area of 2, and there is a penetration cap of small and a max targets penned after the first of 2. So there is the possibility that a single axe can damage 3 targets if tightly packed. That's luck dependent, but at least it can happen at all. The unit has Hide Enforced and the same rage attribute the normal Marauders had. Before moving further, let's look at how this compares. The unit actually has higher melee attack than regular Marauders or great weapons, and most certainly more than Spearmen, with the same lack of shields that the great weapons do. Of course, the reduced entities and lower health means that we should not want to use this as a dual-axe melee unit if we don't have to. It's nimble enough in a flat run, being lightly armored Norscans, but the need to organize before doing serious axe chucking is a limitation on the unit. As mentioned at the start, even in a default state, it's not that the unit is deadlier against Chaos Warriors with the big shields than against Empire Swordsmen. That's not the point. Being equally deadly to both with the ranged weapon means each axe chucked is comparatively more valuable to you and more damaging to the enemy. SHIELDBREAKER only gets more valuable when the enemy is heavily shielded, rather than, say, Blackguard of Nagaron. This means, if you can survive to get in a firing position on Blackguard, you're doing a lot of good. Your trolls will thank you by feasting on Dark Elves. As for how you can deploy, I'm throwing some footage in of putting the hunters right behind the front line as if it's bombers for Vampire Coast. It works, okay? It works fine. Guard mode could be attempted too, but using others like meat shields is probably better, again, if possible. Interruptibility and so forth is a risk, so you have to work out what you can get away with in live battles. It's going to vary with the matchup and the mismatches in your favor or against you. In the redline skills, Beast Slayers at 3 pips gives the relatively simple boost of ammunition plus 20% and missile strength plus 8%, but we started with 12 ammo. Going up to 14 isn't bad in a longer battle at all. Rank 7 and up benefit from Hardened Hunters for plus 12% missile strength, that's already plus 20%, and the 10% reload time reduction is straight DPS to you also. Missile resistance plus 15% helps too. Oh, so does physical resistance from rage, but that takes melee contact. Ew. In the tech tree, Chaos Surge gives its usual plus 1 recruit rank and plus 4 leadership, but here the similarities end. Axemaker's Stone gives ammunition plus 15% and missile strength plus 10% to hunters. Champions of War gives its usual plus 5% replenishment and plus 10% physical resistance, latter only if rank 7 or above. So that's a max of plus 30% missile strength, 10% reload time reduction on top of that, and ammunition 12 becomes 16. When, then, should we recruit Marauder Hunters? Here's the thing, tweaking to balance means you can recruit these easier than the Javelin's unit, but the Javelin's unit is treated as weaker, at least until Wulfric's personal boosts. Well, he can give the Hunter Regulars plus 12 bonus versus large generally in melee combat, where you'd rather they not be unless it's a huge mismatch. But you can use them like that in a pinch and hope. Anyway, any tier 2 settlement will let you recruit them. You do not need a recruitment building to get them. All you need is slots, gold, and 1 turn. They will swiftly become one of your easiest units to spam in global after basic Marauders. This unit is, to my knowledge, the only source of Shieldbreaker in the faction. Of course, this is not a missile-heavy faction, period, but we go right back to the start. This unit has flat effectiveness across a lot of cheap and expensive units, and therefore shines the more armored and less healthy the enemy you face, with enhanced relevance against well-shielded units. And if it's Empire Greatswords, as long as they stay out of melee, those Greatswords are going to have a miserable, awful, no-good time. They are okay, but not truly spectacular, against high HP, middling armor units like Saurus Warriors, shielded or not, but they do help. The ammo limitations and the range-created interruptibility problems mean you don't want to rely on them to win entire battles. You don't want to doomstack them per se, but if, and that is important, if you can get them firing and keep them firing, they can do a lot of work. They're also armored pathetically and can get shredded by the right opponents. The comparison to cavalry is simple. These bring more health and more power, a lot less speed and utility except for Shieldbreaker. So you can't always use them at their best, but you can always get the damage out of them, provided they're firing. In the long run, your biggest shortcoming is that the axes are slower and have more travel time than some ranged weapons, but barring one-man doomstack scenarios, they have consistency, and they help you burn down even difficult targets, which might matter for the legendary hunts and all that. Though, given the penetration, they really are amazing at shredding elite armored infantry. Keep that in mind. So to directly answer the question, you recruit them whenever you need any missile unit at all, especially for, let's say, defending a walled city. You get them when you have any hope of getting them hurling axes for a prolonged period. You get them when you need an extra source of anti-armor that doesn't have to be in melee, because early on you don't necessarily have a ton of that. You get them as the thumb on the scale to break weaker foes faster and to open tin cans for the stronger ones. You don't over-recruit to the point of having no upfront fighting with any resilience though. Keep expectations in line and work around their limitations. Take care and have fun stripping elite units of armor, dignity, and life.